What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm the Scarlet Kuriboh, and today we are going into the Yubel deck profile. So this is the full power Yubel Unchained build. These cards have finally come out in the latest set, Phantom Nightmares, which is where we got this beautiful playmat from. It's a promo mat, as well as this card sleeve. The sneak peek was today, so I got the cards a little bit early, and I'm really excited to show you the deck profile. Let's start with 2 copies of the original Yubel. We're also going to follow up with 1 copy of Yubel the Terror Incarnate, 1 copy of the Yubel Ultimate Nightmare. So these are the original cards that came out in GX. They came out in Phantom Darkness, I believe it was called. Very old set, very old cards, and they're also pretty bad. Something to note about these 2 cards, they can't be special summoned except by the effective Yubel. When Yubel is destroyed, instead of leaving you high and dry, it's going to rank you up into the next Yubel card. And same thing, when this one's destroyed, it's going to rank you up into the next Yubel card. These cards, however, can't be summoned otherwise, unless you're ignoring their summoning conditions. That card comes out way later in May with the Legacy of Destruction cards. So, that's going to be it for the old Yubel cards. But let's make some room for the new cards. We're going to use 3 copies of Spirit Yubel, as well as 3 copies of Samsara de Lotus. So Samsara de Lotus is going to be our 1-card starter of the deck. Unfortunately, it is very fragile. It's going to be hand-trapped and negated quite a bit, so you have to be very careful when you're using this card. But this card, you can tribute it off to special summon another Yubel from your deck. So we're going to be summoning out Spirit of Yubel. Spirit of Yubel on summon is going to start your combo by adding a spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. That mentions Yubel. So this card leads you into this card. And this card has the Yubel effect where when it's destroyed, it'll rank you up into the next Yubel. And when this one's destroyed, it'll rank you up. This is going to be a continuing conga line of bodies. When you have your Spirit of Yubel on field and it gets popped, you're going to be able to go into your next one and next one. You'll always have another monster on board. Very useful effects. Spirit of Yubel. It's not only just a regular Yubel card that when it's popped, it'll bring you into the next Yubel. Instead, it's also a hand trap. When this card's in your hand and your opponent declares an attack, you can special summon out Spirit of Yubel. Now, just like all the other Yubel cards, they can't be destroyed by battle. You're not going to be taking any of the battle damage involving the card. So that's really helpful. You can special summon this card out, it'll protect you for the turn, and it'll also be able to search out or set one of your Yubel spell or trap cards. So it kind of starts your combo. Samsara de Lotus is also really important because when it's on the field, you can tribute it off to search and special summon out your Spirit of Yubel. But it also has a secondary effect, where if you have the original Yubel on your field during the end phase, you can special summon out from your graveyard. And while you have a Yubel card, and your opponent activates a monster effect, you can use Samsara de Lotus' effect to tribute itself, and it'll change the activated effect to destroy a Yubel monster. And we like when our Yubels are destroyed, because then it'll pop into a stronger variant of Yubel. So, really powerful card. Samsara de Lotus is like an interruption. It's a little bit of a recursive card. As well, it's our 1-card starter. Moving forward, we're going to be using 2 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. A little bit of Crystal Beast support ties in with the Yubels really well. We also like to tie in the Unchained support. So we got 1 Obama, 1 Shyama, and 1 Sharvara, as well as 3 copies of Unchained Aruha. So that's going to be it for our Unchained engine. It's very powerful, and it's a really healthy tech to have into the deck. This card specifically, being able to pop your Yubel cards, and same with these ones, you can start the Yubel effects to summon out them. These cards get summoned, then you can link them off into a Yama, you can link them off into an SP Little Knight. Very powerful cards. So we like to use the Unchained engine. As well, to end off the monsters, I like to use 2, count them 2, Droll and Lockbird. You can also use a 3rd, I just like to use a variety of hand traps. Now, let's get into the spells. First up, we got 3 copies of Nightmare Pain. This is the card that does your taxes. This card is going to give you everything you need. You can play it, you can destroy a Yubel in hand or on field, and then it's going to be able to search out one of your Yubel cards. Very useful effect. It can get you your Samsara de Lotus. It can get you another one of the spell and trap cards. It is so versatile. As well, it locks your opponent into the battle phase. So if you have a Yubel monster on your field, your opponent is going to have to attack it with the Nightmare Pain on the field. So it locks them into the battle phase, so sometimes you'll win just on this card alone. It also has another effect, where when your opponent attacks one of your Yubel monsters, like let's say they have a monster with 3,000 attack points and it swings into Yubel, Yubel already deals the damage back, but Nightmare Pain is going to deal an additional dose of the damage back. So it's very helpful, it gets you swinging for game super quickly. As well, Spirit of Yubel notably does not have the effect to inflict the damage on its own, but Nightmare Pain kind of completes the card, and it lets the effect go off to deal the damage as well. We are going to go with 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Poly is the main point of the deck, so we can get into our main boss monster, Yubel the Loving Defender Forever. Super Poly, of course, it's a powerful card, it can't be interrupted. What more can you say about it? We're also going to use 1 Mature Chronicle. So Mature Chronicle is really cool. This is the card, it's in archetype, so it's searchable with all the other Yubel cards, and it's also going to search you out Super Poly. So this is the card that kind of connects the archetype to Super Poly, which was always Yubel's #1 goal. Yubel really wanted Super Poly in the anime. That was her whole thing. Let's go in with 3 copies of Abomination's Prison, as well as 3 copies of Piri Reis Map. So these cards, they are exclusively here for some consistency. These get you Unchained. These get you some more Samsara to Lotuses. I also like to use 1 for 1, specifically to get the Lotus card. You special summon it straight out to the field, so it kind of works around the Droll. Very, very helpful. As well with the spells, I'm running 2 copies of Opening the Spirit Gate. Now, Opening the Spirit Gate is a helpful card because it works with those Dark Beckoning beasts we've seen earlier. When you activate one of the Opening the Spirit Gates, it's going to search you out the Dark Beckoning Beast to your hand. Then you can summon out the Dark Beckoning Beast. It's going to search you out a second copy of the Opening the Spirit Gates. Then next turn, you can activate this, and guess what? It'll search you out another Dark Beckoning Beast. It's kind of going to be giving you a hand loop, as well as it'll always keep a card in your hand that you can discard. And that's the real game of these cards. It gives you a little bit more hand advantage, especially when we need it. Last but not least, we're going to be using 1 Called by to the Grave. For the trap cards, we are going to be running 3 copies of Escape of the Unchained. This card is going to be really helpful using your Unchained plays to extend into your opponent's turn, so you can pop a couple cards for a quick effect. We also like to use 2 copies of Chamber of the Unchained. This one's going to be able to special summon out your monsters, also very helpful. For more traps, I like to use 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, one of the best hand traps in the game, and Eternal Favor. This is another new card in Phantom Nightmares. This is one of the best cards in the deck. It's going to be able to special summon Yubel from your grave. It's very powerful in that regard. You can special summon any of your Yubels. So even if you special summon Spirit, Spirit gets you an additional search. And the special summon can't be negated. Very cool. Additionally, it has a second effect where you can discard 1 and activate Super Polymerization. You can fuse the cards on your field and the cards on your opponent's field to summon out your fusion monsters. But here's the catch. For that secondary effect, you need to have an original Yubel on the field. So it's very important that you have the Yubel already. You flip this over and then you can use the Super Poly if that's what you're going for. You need that because you can only use 1 of the effects each turn. Very, very important card, and it's kind of a little tricky to pull off. That's going to be it for the main deck. Let's go ahead and get into the extra. First things first, I like to run 2 copies of Yubel the Loving Defender Forever. So this is the new card. Just like all the other Yubels, it can't be destroyed by battle. This one also can't be destroyed by card effect. So this is the new boss monster of the deck. It is of course extremely important. When you summon it with Super Polymerization, you can use any number of effect monsters on the field. So as long as you have one of the Yubel cards, you can use any of them, including Spirit or one of the higher level ones. You can fuse them off with all of your opponent's effect monsters that they have. Your opponent's going to burn 500 for each of those fusion materials. Sometimes that's enough to push for game, especially in the late game. Very, very powerful card. As well, it's just like Yubel, it can't be destroyed by battle. Your opponent's going to be taking the battle damage from it. This one also can't be destroyed by card effects, so it has a little bit added extra protection. And when it battles the monster's going to get banished as well. So it's very, very good for outing cards, breaking boards, dealing damage. And for some more Super Poly targets, I like to run Starving Venom, Garua, and Mud Dragon. For some XYZ plays, I like to run DDD, High King Caesar, and Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. So this card helps you push for game. It's just 2 Yubels, you overlay, burn for 2,000. This card is a monster summon negate. Very, very helpful card. Let's go into the Link monster. So, I like to use 1 Blue's Clues, Soul of Rage. This card is really powerful. It's probably one of the best Unchained cards, because while it's on your opponent's turn, you can activate it and then link off with it. and then you can get any dark link monster, which is basically all of them, so it's really, really powerful. We're also going to use 2 copies of Unchained Soul Lord of Yama. So Yama's really powerful as well. You can use any of the 2 fiends that you're going to be summoning. The whole deck is filled with fiends, so it's going to be super quick. You summon those out, you link them off, you summon into Yama. Yama searches you out another card like the one of Sharvara, and that's going to be able to continue your combo. As well, Yama has an effect that's going to tie it in with the Yubel archetype. While it's in the graveyard, and one of your cards on the field is destroyed, you can banish it from grave, and you can special summon out one of your Yubels from your graveyard. So that's really, really powerful. You can also summon from your hand. So it's a really good way to get your Yubel monsters back in rotation for recovery. We also like to use 1 Clifford the Big Red Dog, just to match with our Blue's Clues. Soul of Anguish. It's the same type of thing. This one you can activate on your turn, and you can steal one of your opponent's monsters to link climb. It kind of ties in with the Super Poly aspect of the deck. We're using our opponent's board to break their board. We also use 1 Unchained Abomination. This card's really powerful. You get to pop 3 cards in turn. It's ridiculous. We're going to go with 1 Nightmare Unicorn. So Soul of Rage is really good to go into Nightmare Unicorn, because then immediately you discard, you can bounce a card. Really, really quick way to get some removal. As well, I have 1 copy of IP Masquerena and 1 copy of SP Little Knight. So, guys, what do you think of the Yubel deck? I was playing it today at the sneak peek. I got to play it a little bit early. It was so much fun. It was amazing to play this deck. It was actually so cool. I was so excited. I've been testing the deck online for, honestly, way too long. I've been learning so much about it, and I honestly think this deck has such a high ceiling. There's so much to go over. There are so many different variants to the deck, too. There's so many different things you can do to play with it. You can use cards like Rivalry. Rivalry is really good because you have almost exclusively fiends in this deck. You can use staples. Droplets is really good. Nibiru specifically is very powerful because Nibiru is going to put a token on your opponent's field. The token's going to have like 9,000 attack points depending on what's going on. All you have to do is swing at the token with one of your Yubel cards, and they're going to be taking the damage. It's going to be huge damage. As well, you can use cards like the DDD engine. I already use High King, but you can also use King Dos Machina. As well, Small World. Small World has a very interesting play in this deck because searching with Piri Reis Map is very limited. You have to do it at the start of your main phase, and until we get the field spell that comes out in Legacy of Destruction, this is the best thing we have to search out our Samsara de Lotus. But Small World, we can use Samsara de Lotus, Ash, the Yubel cards, a lot of different ways to use Small World in this deck. So, what do you guys think of Yubel? I couldn't recommend it enough. The sneak peek just happened today. I think the actual release for the Phantom Nightmare is going to be February 9th. Check out the channel on February 9th. I got one of my buddy's videos coming out. It's going to be a deck profile on a Yubel archetype mixed with another archetype, Vanquish Soul. It's going to be really, really cool. So, thank you guys again for watching. Drink some water. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.